Hello, and welcome to the home of Invoq. Today, we have an exciting program for you. My name is Lene. I am marketing manager at Hyuna, and at my side, I have Martin.
Hello, Lene. Yeah, my name is Martin. I'm business development manager here at Hyuna. I've been working as a chef for more than 10 years before I took this role, and has also been working as development chef here at Hyuna for 5 years. And we, as Lene said, have an exciting program for you guys today, and Lene will start explaining what we are about to show you.
We have selected some of the highlights of the Invoq features and the functionalities and gathered some tips and tricks that we find very useful, especially for the institutional kitchen. We have a very packed program today, so we might go a bit over time, but we hope that you will stay on and get the full insights today. We therefore instantly want to show you some videos where we talk about the energy savings, and we cover some of the time saving and resource savings, and even also some of the food savings where you can minimize the meat shrinkage and get more yield out of your products.
So you get more out of your oven.
Yes. Yeah. So we have our chef Edwin, who would like to show you some of the steaming functionalities. But before we do that, Edwin, he will show us the steaming functionalities on a Combi oven. So Martin, maybe you will explain, because we do have two different steam technologies with the new Invoq oven.
Yeah. We have two different steam technologies. We have one that's we call it Combi. That's injection steam, where we spread water on the heating element, and that spreads the steam inside the oven. That's where you do when you do low dense steaming. So a few racks of vegetables, some fish. Low steaming is also good for that. If you need high air saturation in steam mode, you would use the hybrid steam. And the hybrid steam that we're using in the Invoq, that's the same as a car. So we use both boiler and injection. And this is to keep the best temperature and the best steaming mode for you guys when you steam your product. So heavy steaming, full load of oven, vegetables, fish, meat,
items.
Or frozen items, correct?
Yeah. That's
what we need for that. But Edwin will show you how to use the steam functions. It's going to be the same way you work with it, but two different steam technologies. If you have any questions about it, please put them in and we will answer them after.
So today I'm going to be doing some steaming on the Invoq oven. I've set the oven to 100 degrees steaming with an 80% fan speed to keep the air going, but that's not so necessary when we are steaming, because of course it's the steam that does the cooking, not the airflow. So I have some fresh broccoli that I've washed. I'm just going to put into our steam fry tray. We're cooking on a Invoq Combi today, with the steam is going to be produced by injection onto the heating element. So that's ready to go into the oven. I'm also going to be steaming some rice. Here I have a kilo of rice, which I have washed. And I'm going to add 1.5 kilo of water to the rice. And put a tray on that to cook it. Here I have a kilo of dry pasta. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil to that. Just give that a mix. So whenever I steam pasta, I do the pasta in a deep tray because it needs to be covered with water. When obviously you're taking it out of the oven with a lot of hot water, it can be very dangerous. So the deeper the tray, the less dangerous. Then I'm going to add water to the pasta until it's completely covered. You need to make sure there's enough water in the pasta for the pasta to absorb. So now I'm ready to start steaming. Open the door, 2 steps. So 1, releases the steam, releases the pressure inside the oven. 2, so that I don't get a face full of steam. So the oven is hot and ready to go. The pasta, I'll put in the lowest of the 3 items because then it's easier to take out. Next, I'll put in the broccoli above the pasta, and then with the lid on, I'll carefully add the rice above the broccoli. And we'll close the door. Now the oven will continue steaming. I'm going to go into the timer settings, choose rack timer. This will give me the option to give different times for each rack. For the pasta, I will give 15 minutes. For the broccoli, I will give 11 minutes. And for the rice, I will give 22 minutes. Then the oven will steam away. Give the pasta a little shake. I can shut the door to continue cooking the rice. Now the pasta can be drained. Perfectly cooked pasta. So now I'll take out the rice. But we need to give the rice 10 minutes to relax. So now we've rested the rice for 10 minutes. We can remove the top. And there you'll see perfectly steamed, fluffy jasmine rice. Beautiful. In the Invoq oven, we have some cooking functions, one named Delta T and one named Cook and Hold, that have been specifically designed for long, slow cooking to break down, tenderize meat, ideally cooking overnight, taking cheaper cuts of meat, cooking them slowly with humidity to give a really good finished product in a controlled environment. Now the way that Delta T cooking works is it is an automatic cooking process that runs based on the core temperature of the meat. So we use the temperature probe, we put it into the meat, and to give an example, let's say for argument's sake, the core temperature of the meat is 10 degrees Celsius. Then the oven will be set at a delta of 20 degrees Celsius, so it will sit 20 degrees Celsius above the core temperature of the meat. So as the meat becomes 11, the oven will become 31, 12, 32. So it will maintain that 20 degrees Celsius above the meat, so it cooks it very, very slowly, very tenderly. The second process, cook and hold, works in the same way, but what actually happens is that when it reaches its goal temperature, so let's say for argument's sake we'd like to cook the meat to 60 degrees Celsius, as it comes up to 60 degrees, then the temperature of the oven will drop and maintain a few degrees Celsius above and a few below, and maintain that 60 degrees Celsius all night long. You can use low fan speed because you're cooking for such a long period of time, which gives you the option to save energy. You can cook with humidity using the injection function so that you don't have to keep the boiler on all evening, which again saves energy, and you can create a controlled environment to keep the meat in a moist environment so that when it comes out it's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to make a cooking recipe, a program on the oven that we are going to use to cook our beef with the Delta T cooking process. So I'll touch the screen to wake it, press recipes, create a recipe. Now I have to put in the information of the recipe. So the recipe name, I will start with Delta T beef. Then we have the option to put in an image. So if I choose the image, this is our image library. We have numerous images. I'm sure I can find a nice roast beef. I'll use that. Then I have the option to add it to some groups. So I will add it to the beef group and we'll leave it at that. In this oven, we can make as many groups as we like and put one recipe into more than one group. So for example, we might want to add it to a lunch group as well as a meat group. Then we press the tick to save it, Delta T. Now I'm going to add some steps to the recipe. So I'm going to start with a preheat. The reason we do this is because if you always start with the same temperature of oven, then you're much more likely to ensure the same finished product every time. So I want to preheat to 180 degrees and we'll just leave it at 1 minute. So it will take us up to 180 and hold that temperature for a minute before moving on. So I save that step. I add one more step. I'm going to put in a note step. This is essentially an alarm, but it also gives us the option of conveying information to the user of the oven. So I have some different icons I can choose. That, for example, is stir, brush the bread, take something out, put something in, but I'm going to choose put something in and use the temperature probe because we're going to be cooking with the temperature probe today. I have the option to put in a note, some information, again, that will be conveyed to the user. So I could put in, for example, remember seasoning, or remember your herbs, or add some extra water to the tray, or whatever. For this, I don't need to worry about anything. I'm just going to use the icon. We'll save that. Then we'll go to the first cooking step. So I'm going to use the convection. What I would like to do is just roast the meat at a high temperature for 10 minutes or so, start the cooking process, but also to make sure that any bacteria inside the cabinet is dead, because we're going to be cooking for quite a long, slow period. It will be in the danger zone, essentially, temperature-wise, for much of that period, and we want to ensure that it's in a safe environment. So I'll leave it at 180 degrees for 10 minutes, 100% fan speed, open exhaust. Then I'm going to add one more step. So once we've actually got that first cooking step done, then we want to lower the temperature. We want to bring the temperature down to an ambient temperature so that we can cook the meat nice and slowly. So I'm going to put in a cool down step. So if I put in a cool down, and I'll bring it down to 45 degrees. Actually, I'll save that. Then I'm going to put in our cooking step. Now for this, I'm going to use a combi step because I want to cook the meat with humidity added to the cabinet. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to create a balanced environment inside the cabinet. So I'm going to add humidity so that if, for example, I cook the meat in a dry environment, then the moisture from the meat will be removed from the meat by the process of osmosis. I don't want to add too much humidity because then what will happen is the meat will essentially boil. We don't want that either. So I want to create a balanced environment so that the meat won't lose any of its own juices. It will cook in its own juice. So I'll choose the combi function, and I'm going to set the combi level to about 40, which is what I've found is a nice level. Then here where I have the time, I'm going to press the temperature probe. Currently it says at 64, but I'm going to press the 3 buttons here. Then I can choose my options of how I want to use the temperature probe. So I'm going to choose Delta T. Once I've chosen Delta T, the temperature box here automatically changes and goes to the Delta T. I'm going to leave it at 20 degrees Celsius, which is the delta, and I will explain the delta and how it works shortly. I want a finished core temperature of 58 degrees Celsius, which might be 59, which would be between medium rare to medium. And because we're cooking for a long, slow period, I'm going to lower the fan speed right down to 20%. We don't need the fan speed going fast. That gives us the opportunity to save a lot of energy and cook gently. So that's what I'm going to do. I save that. There's all my cooking steps. I don't need anything else. I press the tick to save the recipe and it's ready to go. I have 2 pieces of meat, equal size and weight. I'm going to cook them today. One, I'm going to use the traditional way, hot convection oven, 180 degrees Celsius, using a core temperature, and I'll cook it to about 57 degrees Celsius. We'll take it out and rest it. The second piece of meat, I'm going to use the Delta T process. I have made a recipe on the oven which will give us a preheat, cook at a higher temperature for a few minutes, drop down the temperature in the cabinet to ensure of a sanitized environment. Then we will cook using the Delta T process for a long, slow period of time. I'm first going to weigh the meat just to show that they are equal in weight. So the first piece, we have 1.255 kilos. We'll go into our tray there. And the second piece is 1.250. So almost exactly the same, give or take a couple of grams. I'm going to take some salt, give them a nice bit of love, and some citron pepper. Have a little bit of rosemary oil. Then I will start the oven. I'm going to go to my recipes that are pre-made, choose my groups, beef, Delta T beef. There's all my cooking steps. Start. The oven will preheat. When it's ready, it will ask me to put the meat into the oven, insert the temperature probe, and the oven will do the rest. Here, I'm going to go to a manual mode, 180 degrees Celsius, convection, 100% fan speed, open exhaust, and then we'll compare the results for both weight and tenderness when they're cooked. So now the oven is preheated. It's telling me to open the door, put in the meat. Remember the temperature probe. Release. the meeting. The external temperature probe, always at ambient temperature, so it doesn't score the meat when going in. Push it deep into the middle. Shut the door, let the oven do the rest. Now the oven has preheated and it's telling me to load the product. So I'll put the meat into the oven and again take the temperature probe and that goes into the middle of the meat. Then I'm going to set here temperature probe and then a core temperature of 57 degrees Celsius, 100% fan speed, open exhaust. So that will give us an accurate roast. Now we can see the convection roast, 180 degrees Celsius, is finished. It's reached its core temperature of 57 and it's telling me to restart or exit. I'm just going to open the oven using the two-step safety door so I don't get a face full of steam. I'll remove the core probe from the meat. Let's give it a little wipe before returning it, and then we can take out the meat and you can see it's shrunken somewhat in size. So now the oven is telling me that the Delta T cooking is ready. It's flashing. Press finish. It's going to record HASA. You can see there's way more humidity coming from this cook. I use the two-step safety door to open. Again, remove the temperature probe. Move the meat, you can see it's plumper and there's also some of the natural juice in the bottom of the tray, which we can use for sauces or dressings. I'm going to let that rest, then we'll do the weight test. So now that both pieces of meat have been cooked, we can look at the finished product and we can weigh them and see what's the difference in weight loss between them, between the two cooks. So we're now weighing in at 900 grams. So the original weight was 1.250. So that's 350 grams loss, so nearly over a quarter of its weight, which is quite a fair amount. And then we will weigh the second. So this is the Delta T cooking, and this one was 1.255, and we are weighing in at 1 kilo and 65, so actually 150 grams less weight loss when cooking with Delta T, which is a considerable amount. And we'll also carve the meat, so we can just have a look inside at the finished product. So this was the joint of meat that we roasted in the traditional way 180 degrees Celsius with 100% fan speed and open exhaust. And you can see it's still quite juicy, still pink in the middle, and yet you have this sort of roasted ring around the outside, and it's a little tougher than the Delta T piece of meat. And now we'll carve the meat from the Delta T cook. So you can see it's way more juicy. And it gives us a much more even pinkness throughout and right up to the edge.
Hello, welcome back everybody. You just saw the Delta T video that Edwis had made, and it's a very, very good way of showing how you can use lesser cut of meat, cheaper cut of meat, to make it look good and have a great flavor. We need to ask the other person in the kitchen, what piece of meat did you like the best?
No doubt. The Delta T cooked had a lot of tenderness to it that was really clear. So, and the benefit that you get, the yield, and you get
a lot of stuff within when you use those cooking parameters. A common question is, do you only use it in manual or can you use it in recipes? You can use it in both settings depending on your want. Some people will say that you saw the Delta T piece of meat was a little bit lighter, but usually you can brown it after if you find the need for that and get a more coloration on your meat if that's necessary. But we will jump into the next topic.
Yes. We're in a bit of a hurry to wrap up, so we want to show you a bit on the food safety. We have Rasmus explaining how to document your food safety, and also how to prolong the lifetime of your oven by using the CareCycle.
So the food safety, that's about the hazard files.
It's hazard file downloading, and the cleaning system is what we call the CareCycle.
Yeah.
So let's look into that.
For your food safety, we have the HACCP functionality. It's a method where we, in a PDF format, document the processes that you've made. So if you're having a recipe using SmartChef, it actually automatically saves your food safety data. It's easily downloaded with a USB key directly from the oven or via the cloud system. On the oven, we can store 60 days of HACCP files. So you have 2 months to take out the data that you need to document your food safety. If you're using the core probe, which temperature your product has been, and then you can look that up against your defined parameters. It's a smooth and easy way for you to always have your food safety by the hand. CareCycle consists of 6 main cleaning programs. 3 normal programs, 2 eco programs, and 1 turbo wash. It also has a descaling functionality of the cavity, so that you can rinse down if there's some lime scale inside the cavity. If you have a hybrid oven, we even added a descaling functionality for your steam generator. That actually allows you as a user to insert tablets on the side of the oven and automatically descale your boiler for your convenience.
Hi again, everybody. We just want to show you a short video also about the SmartChef function, the way that the oven cooks by itself, where you don't have to do anything if you have low trained staff or you simply don't have the time to put into how to make your recipes. after it, you can see also how you made the recipe, how the oven made your recipes.
It's really time efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will show that now.
The Invoq oven has an automatic cooking function that we have named SmartChef. It was designed for chefs in the kitchen who know what product they'd like to cook, know what finished product they'd like to achieve, but are not entirely sure of which parameters to employ to reach that finished product. From the home screen, I will choose the SmartChef function. Here I'm presented with some different categories of products. So let's say, for example, I'd like to do some steamed fish, some delicately steamed fish, so it's really moist and carefully cooked. I'm going to choose steaming. Here I have my parameters: adjust core temperature. So I'll adjust the core temperature down to 50 degrees Celsius. That's about where the proteins start to coagulate, where it goes from that translucent dark color to the light color of cooked salmon that we're all familiar with. And then under the select mode, I can choose for steaming, which is a little bit higher temperature, 120, or low temperature steaming, which is below 100 and more delicate. So I'll choose low temperature steaming. Then I'll press start. The oven will preheat and will ask me to load the product with the temperature probe, and will then continue to cook the fish according to the parameters that it sees as best.
Hi again, everyone. Now we've shown you a lot of videos and everything has been going very fast. So Lene just have a little thing to say on how you can find this stuff afterwards.
Yes, because we're all out of time. So make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook to get the latest news. But sign up also for the newsletter. Then you will get news on
All the
new
info
upcoming webinars. And of course, you will receive this video so you can play it on demand, so you can watch it again
So
if
if
you want to.
anything went too fast for you or something you didn't catch, you can watch the video again. You get it by mail, or we can talk about it if you send us an email.
Thank you for joining. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure being with you, Lene.
Thank you, Martin.
Have a nice day.
Bye for now.
Bye.